Remember when the Biden White House insisted that the people of East Palestine, Ohio, would be safe from any toxic air or water in the aftermath of the train derailment?
I want to be clear that our testing, air quality testing, and the state's water quality testing has not yielded any adverse health impacts that we have seen at this moment.
Well, now new emails have surfaced showing the White House was concerned cancer-causing toxins would spread. One email from the FEMA recovery leader sent over a year after the crash reads, "The occurrence of a cancer cluster in East Palestine is not zero. As you all are aware, the first 48 hours of the fire created a really toxic plume." Here now is Lisa Marie Sopko, who is located 4 miles from the derailment. And DJ Yokley is also a resident of East Palestine. They both join me now. And thank you so much for doing this. Just that. Lisa Marie, I mean, how does it feel to hear this? Publicly, they were saying one thing, and now we know that privately they were discussing cancer concerns even over a year after this took place.
I mean, realistically speaking, you have to expect that with a toxic plume of that size and chemicals of that nature, that there would be a risk. So I'm not really sure that anybody believed that there wasn't, to begin with. And I don't believe that anybody still thinks that there's not a risk.
Yeah, and Lisa Marie, just to follow up on that, you're absolutely right. I mean, everybody who saw the toxic plume, and I'm sure who lives in your community, that was the #1 concern. So the issue, though, is that when officials came down there, and it took President Biden a year to do that, they were saying everything is okay, don't worry about it. So now that you see these emails and see that they were discussing cancer, I mean, how does that make you feel?
Concerned, obviously concerned, not only for myself, but we're a farm animal rescue and sanctuary, and we have over 200 animals, here that we had evacuated, but then brought back. We're worried about, what is going to happen to the animals as well as the people here. Mostly we're concerned about the people of East Palestine who are, at ground zero. I mean, these are our friends, these are our neighbors. We're extremely concerned.
Yeah, DJ, it's kind of like don't believe your eyes, believe what I'm telling you, right? And now that it's clear that cancer concerns were discussed and potentially repeatedly so, just to be clear, did anyone within FEMA or the Biden administration, DJ, tell you or anybody that you know of in East Palestine that this could be a possibility?
Not once, never. And that was one of the biggest things, is they just kept patting us on the head and saying, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. You have to trust the experts, which is what we've been doing this entire time, which is why it's so alarming whenever these emails come out, these private emails of you can trust us. And we had trust issues at one point throughout the community because we were raising questions that still have not received answers. We've had to look our children in the face and make very, very challenging decisions across our community, across our families, about staying, leaving, and making decisions that'll affect us for the rest of our life. And unfortunately, 2.5 years later, here we are with new information that they know the entire time that threw everything for a loop.
Oh, Lisa Marie, you said something to producers that I thought is really sound advice for any crisis management, and that's that officials should have assumed the worst case scenario and not the best. And it did seem like they were assuming the best case scenario and saying that everything is okay. Why do you think that didn't happen? And also, do you know of anybody 2.5 years later who has gotten sick and there are concerns that it could be as a result of this?
I do. Absolutely, I do. Many people actually are concerned. I'm so sorry with the first part of that question. I definitely know a lot of people who feel 100% that they did get sick, and do continue to have health problems, because of this. I just think that the entire situation was botched from the get-go, starting with that NFS did not have the information on hand about the chemicals that were released into the air. So I think that was thing number one.
Yeah.
is that they just didn't know what they were
They just
dealing
didn't
with.
know. Yeah, and there's now this watchdog group that did a study and said that the testing was botched. They didn't test for the right chemicals. They didn't test at the right locations either. So that's a major concern. And DJ, I know you have children, and you worry about them playing outside, which no parent should have to go through. So Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, they've both visited East Palestine. Do you think that there's anything that the federal government can do about this now, or is this just sort of a wait-and-see game regarding health?
I think it's a great opportunity for the current administration and President Trump to look at this, reopen every book, every file on it, and make sure that two wrongs don't make a right. And understanding that, and looking back at what the current or the past administration did, and looking at these emails, and anybody that covered this up, anybody that knew about this in a village of less than 5,000 people, but so many more people that are being that are being affected by this. I think that anybody that knew about this and willingly kept it under the hat should be facing criminal charges across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this was a crisis in 2023. It remains a crisis now, and we're going to continue to follow it and treat it as such. Lisa, DJ, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.